Why is Krypto in the new Superman movie? It's already crowded, and surely adding a superpowered dog on top of everything will only overcomplicate a story already facing an uphill battle. With those reasons in mind, and plenty more, there are tons of legitimate points of view around why Krypto is the one thing that might detract from this otherwise stellar movie. However, with this canine's inclusion, I think the exact opposite is going to happen. All of which is nothing more than a massive assumption, yet as we steamroll closer and closer to the date of this movie's release, a date I thought would never come soon enough, that assumption of greatness coming from Krypto is something I'm more than comfortable making, and that's just because it's not a complete shot in the dark. From Gunn's amazing track record with digital animals in his movies, even specifically with superpowered dogs, to the conclusions that can be drawn from the small details Gunn has let slip in interviews, all the way to the thematic potential behind what could be done with Superman's best friend. I just think Krypto is what's going to make this new Superman movie special. Welcome to Sandwich Reviews. I'm the Talking Sentient Sandwich, your nihilistic optimist, and aside from the other weird and obscure comic book characters being introduced in this movie, Krypto might just be the most out there. Obviously, he isn't representative of the weirder side of comics, yet I think he is the perfect and most emblematic way to show and not tell that this new DC world isn't shying away from the comics, and is instead highlighting exactly what made Superman and comics in general special in the first place. That being their ability to depict fun worlds and characters that are just as sentimental as they are bizarre. And what's more bizarre than a dog with the same powers as Superman? Well, plenty of things in Superman comics alone, let alone the infinite ludicrous things that pop up throughout the entire medium. Yet as much as I want him to, Gunn can't just jump out of the gate swinging with a half dozen strange animals that, one way or another, possess the godly power of Superman, whether they were from Krypton and followed him to Earth, or were given their powers through a scientific mishap. Which, to name a few, include Beepo the Super Monkey, Streaky the Super Cat, and of course their 30th century descendant Wizzy. And perhaps the strangest of all, because of some weird and depressing lore I won't even begin to dive into, is Comet the Super Horse. I really hope he makes it into Supergirl, but I'm not sure if he should. Seriously, give him a Google. And rightfully so, including even a little bit of that impenetrably dense lore to a blockbuster movie can end up distancing itself from the normie audience members, not the terminally online, or even the ones moderately familiar with the seminal character that is Superman, just your everyday person, who, by the way, are what make or break a release. Having a dedicated and loyal fan base behind you is necessary, but they don't make the majority of the profits. Everyday people hearing about a must-watch movie and deciding they'll go see it as their night out is what every studio is really counting on to return their investment. And aside from the dog lovers who have, at least in my small social bubble, rallied around this adorable dog and essentially made it their mascot, I'll talk a bit more in a sec about just how dang adorable he is, but I will never get over how much I already would die for him, and I don't even like small dogs. But as far as cuteness goes, I don't think there was a better breed or plain old look they could have gone for. This Krypto is just perfect. And for those who don't care that he isn't the typical breed, which again is the majority of the audience, they'll just either want to see this dog on the big screen, or just want to see how and if he can be pulled off. That being said, it can't be that hard when Krypto is so freaking cute. I'm not against the traditional Labrador look some, but not all, interpretations have, but the second I saw Krypto's one droopy ear, I fell in love. Plus, his shabby, almost street dog-esque appearance feeds into the idea that he hasn't experienced very much love, and only needs just a little bit of that to make him less of a menace. And seeing Krypto throughout the film will endear me to anyone giving him kindness, just because I'll be vicariously wanting to care for him or even pet him.
No.
Pet that dog.
No, he's
Pet
sleeping.
that dog.
Because for all intents and purposes, that dog is as real as they come. There might be a real-life stand-in dog that they used for a lighting reference, or maybe even just a cardboard cutout or something, but what is seemingly a fully CG dog has never looked better. Gunn has always done a terrific job incorporating fully CG animals into his movies, from Rocket to Cosmo and plenty more, yet Krypto is clearly the culmination of all of those visual effects. The fur, the movement, the animation, even his lifelike expressive eyes. Everything just makes me believe Krypto is a real superpowered dog they plucked from some alley. Not for a second do I look at him and think there's something off about that dog. No, he's just real. And I can't discount the impressive action-oriented visuals and themes of kindness that are seemingly overflowing within this movie, and I'm optimistic that its hopeful sentiment throughout will actually be what it's remembered for, yet I can't help but look at Krypto's inclusion as the divide between this Superman movie and everything we've gotten before. Even Donner's Untouchable Superman, the movie that had everyone believing a man could fly. As much as it is unapologetically Superman, it simply couldn't incorporate the weirder and flashier side of the source material, by and large thanks to the time it came out in, but also because of the filmmaker's devoted goal for verisimilitude. I'm sure 30 seconds into Gunn's Superman, I'm going to fall headfirst into its overtly comic booky world, and that's what's really going to separate it from the Man of Steel's other theatrical outings. Yet for a marketing aspect, the one thing that's easy to latch onto, and already know it's not shying away from the complicated yet evocative lore, is Krypto. Like I mentioned, there's lots of other stuff that immediately depicts that weirder stuff, notably the Justice Gang, but if you're just looking at Superman's lore and mythos, Krypto is the deepest cut they could think of, and not just a fun Easter egg from the bottom of the barrel, of which there are an infinite amount of insane things that could be thrown in, and I know Gunn loves his fifth-dimensional dudes like Mxyzptlk, but from everything I can tell, Krypto is a massive part of the narrative. Perhaps even its heart and soul. Publicly, Gunn explained that he was very early on in his script, then adopted his demon rascal dog Ozu, and in the arduous process of training that little ball of chaos, falling deeper in love with him every step of the way, he thought about how it would be a billion times more difficult with Krypto, so because of that experience, decided to change the script to include Superman's best friend. He also made it clear that script was for his father, which makes me think a lot of its heart is going to come from Jonathan, but Krypto is an easy method to tug at the heartstrings. I mean, I know I, for one, will cry if that dog is harmed. No future spoilers, but it's why DC needs to keep that in the Supergirl movie. Yet for Superman's first outing, establishing a fun, somewhat chaotic relationship between him and Krypto could bring a lighthearted atmosphere, and with that, sentiment. I'm not sure how many scenes we'll get of this direct scenario, but seeing Superman attempt to rein in this uncontrollable force of nature that is an animal given unlimited power would be compelling and great to see. It's like babysitting a toddler with Superman's power. Obviously, that's gonna go south real fast, but I want to see every minute of it. But quite possibly the easiest method to get me to cry, as proven by Guardians 3, The Wild Robot, and many more, is depicting something or someone too innocent and naive to understand the cruelty of what's happening to them. Seriously, that kind of stuff breaks me. And I know for a fact that Krypto's storyline is going to delve into that idea simply because that's an easy emotional slam dunk Gunn can make. And not easy as in a lazy inclusion, because it'll still take delicate and clever writing, but easy because of how little they'll have to try to get me invested. Because as Superman and everyone else takes care of Krypto and loves him, I'm sure by the end of the movie, forming an inseparable bond, we as the audience will feel just as attached to him. Will that attachment go so far as to actually create the mascot for DC my friends think he already is? Honestly, I do think so, but only time will tell if that'll be the case. For now though, I think it's safe to say that Krypto's supposedly weighty inclusion in Superman's new upcoming movie is going to make it an unforgettable experience. But what are your thoughts? Do you think Krypto is going to make or break this movie? Or are you not as confident he'll even be a major part of the narrative? For once, I'm glad it takes me forever to get these videos out, because the day I finalized this, a clip was released showing Superman furious at Lex for dog-napping Krypto. And this right here kinda proves everything I've been talking about. How Krypto is going to be a driving force in the story, and will make Superman more relatable, bringing him down to earth with the depiction that he's just a farm boy concerned about his dog. But anyway, drop a comment down below with your thoughts. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for weekly video essays and reviews, and enjoy a delicious sandwich.